The preeminent superpower of the world, the United States, is due for elections. But this happens at a time when Israel, a close US ally, is in the midst of a war that has polarized not just the world, but the US itself. So how will the Israel-Gaza conflict impact US elections? News9 Plus Decodes. Let's begin with the complexity of US-Israel relations. US foreign policy has traditionally been supportive of Israel, providing billions in military aid, domestic backing in international forums, and technological assistance. In return, Israel has often aligned with American interests in the Middle East, serving as a critical ally in a region plagued by conflict. The relationship, while not without its tensions, has seen the US use its leverage to influence Israel's actions, particularly concerning the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Similarly, Israeli domestic policies and actions, such as military engagements or settlement expansions, have often forced US administrations to navigate difficult political waters, both at home and internationally. This deep-rooted alliance is now being tested. The ongoing war in Gaza has placed US policymakers in a tight spot. President Joe Biden's administration, which continues to send arms to Israel while calling for restraint, faces mounting pressure from domestic constituents, particularly among Muslim American voters, who are growing increasingly disillusioned with the US support for Israeli military actions. What is Kamala Harris's position on the Israel-Gaza conflict? Vice President Kamala Harris, who has consistently backed Israel's right to self-defense, has recently called for an immediate ceasefire. This is a much more assertive position than President Biden, but it has put her in a difficult position. On one hand, she must maintain the strong pro-Israel policy that resonates with many American voters. On the other, she faces growing discontent from progressive Democrats and Muslim voters who are calling for an end to violence. Harris's electoral chances, particularly among these progressive and Muslim voter blocs, may hinge on how she navigates this delicate balance. Her leadership on the Gaza conflict can well define her political future. And how does Donald Trump view the conflict? Former President Donald Trump has taken a decidedly more pro-Israel stance, consistently praising Netanyahu's leadership and criticizing the Biden administration for not doing enough to support Israel's military operations, painting the Democrats as weak on national security. For Trump, maintaining the support of evangelical Christian voters who are overwhelmingly pro-Israel is key. His hardline stance on Gaza resonates with this base. At the same time, it shows him as strong on defense and foreign policy, critical issues for conservative voters. The war in this context may bolster Trump's bid for a second term, particularly if he continues to cast himself as a reliable ally to Israel. So how will the war in Gaza impact US elections? The Israel-Gaza conflict will be a significant factor in the upcoming US elections. As Muslim American voters, particularly in swing states, grow increasingly frustrated with both major political parties, there is a growing risk that their disillusionment could sway the outcome of the election or lead to increased support for third-party candidates. Trump is doubling down on his pro-Israel stance, and Harris is attempting to walk the tightrope between support for Israel and calls for humanitarian restraint. Both candidates' electoral prospects will be influenced not only by their foreign policy stances, but also how they manage their domestic divisions. The stakes are high, and what happens in Gaza may very well shape the future of the US and Israel.